Today, America celebrates a breakthrough in civil rights.
Yeah, this is the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and civil rights pioneers all across our nation have gathered in Florida because of the protests in our state that actually got the Civil Rights Act passed and signed into law.
Fox 13 political editor Craig Patrick is in St. Augustine, where the defining battle played out 60 years ago.
We're at historic St. Paul AME Church in St. Augustine, and this is where Dr. Martin Luther King rallied students to carry out the nonviolent protest that convinced Congress to pass the Civil Rights Act.
Let us lay aside irrelevant differences and make our nation whole.
LBJ signed the landmark law on July 2nd, 1964, using a different pen for each letter of his name.
Charlie, you got one?
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
As he handed out the pens to the politicians who voted for it and the civil rights leaders like Dr. King, who had a big hand in getting it passed. But this law, which bans discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, would not have passed as it did without the Battle of St. Augustine in June of 1964.
We shall resist until the end.
Segregationist senators led by Georgia's Richard Russell had blocked the bill in the Senate and could have defeated it.
It is one of the most dangerous pieces of legislation ever presented to the Congress.
So Dr. King and his top lieutenant Andrew Young responded by taking their nonviolent battle to Florida.
St. Augustine might well pave the way for a new century of freedom for all.
They joined St. Augustine civil rights leader Dr. Robert Haling. He had already organized marches, sit-ins, and wait-ins on the beaches of the nation's oldest city where black and white integrationists were beaten.
I saw individuals running in fear of their life.
And while you're watching somebody with a club, somebody else strikes you from your blind side.
Andrew Young led a march into downtown where the Ku Klux Klan attacked him.
In fact, when I got beat up, the only television camera there was held by the policeman, because I really didn't know what happened. I was out.
Then Dr. King tried to get seated in a segregated restaurant at the Monson Motor Lodge Motel and got arrested for trespassing. And when he got out of jail on June 18th, he and many others returned to the Monson.
Encourage your nonviolent army to peacefully solicit some other property other than mine.
And while that scene was playing out, white civil rights activists like Al Lingo checked into the Monson Motel. Then after they got their keys, revealed they had black guests.
We knew we were doing something.
And they jumped into the pool together.
Hi, boy. Hi, how are you?
And the guys tried to get us out, and we weren't getting out.
So the motel owner rushed over with a bottle of muriatic acid and terrorized some of the swimmers by pouring acid in the pool. That repulsed people across the nation.
I started pouring acid in the pool. Our whole foreign policy and everything else go to hell over this.
It also sent shockwaves through Congress and broke the segregationist blockade of the Civil Rights Act. The Senate passed it the very next day, on June 19th, Juneteenth, and President Johnson signed it 2 weeks later on this day, 60 years ago.
Well, it's a great reunion, I think, because that was some dangerous times here in St. Augustine. That we didn't back away, we just kept doing what we had to do.
And Andrew Young and others who joined the peaceful marches and were in the pool and on the beach that summer are back. They've returned to St. Augustine to remember and celebrate their campaign that changed the course of history. And the same church where King rallied the campaign is hosting a film festival and showing our Fox 13 documentary on the Battle of St. Augustine called Florida's Foot Soldiers. And the men and women who compelled Congress to pass the Civil Rights Act are touring the sites where they did it and sharing rarely told stories that we'll bring you as we continue our coverage tonight at 10. In St. Augustine, Craig Patrick, Fox 13 News.
All right, Craig, thanks. And you can watch this full documentary that's playing at the St. Augustine Film Festival through the Fox Local app. Just scroll down to special presentations and look for Florida's Foot Soldiers, a civil rights story.